Jimmy Wills, thank you for making time to talk about your new book and the state of the knowledge world economy, I suppose I'll call it.
Well, thanks, and thanks for having me on. It's good. Good to be here.
It's an interesting new book you have, the Seven Rules of Trust. Um, I suppose as I read it, the business reporter in me was thinking, there's a lot of I'll call it conventional wisdom here. A lot of what you're saying is really not so surprising. It's sort of like you mentioned game theory at one point, and if you're expecting to have repeated interactions with anyone, you're more likely to trust them because your reputation is important to you for the future deals you haven't made. Um, the example I have heard others give is if you're shouting at somebody in fact, some of the nicest people I know have been some of the most aggressive drivers verbally. Like they'll shout and swear at people in traffic because they figure they're never going to see them again. Um,
That's
and
interesting.
and and outside of their and they're not bad drivers. They're just like in when I ride in the car with them, they're yelling. But I guess what I'm trying to ask about is how uh, I feel like some of the sentiments you have here are pretty basic business principles, right?
Definitely.
Reciprocity, transparency. Did you go into the creation of Wikipedia with that in mind, or is this something you kind of came up with as you look back on how you built it and how
I mean,
others built it?
yeah, I would say a little bit of both. I would say the ideas of trust and civility, for example, they were always there, sometimes implicitly, sometimes more explicitly. I mean, I very early on, I edited my personal talk page in Wikipedia to say, you can edit this page, I trust you, and I hope you'll do something good and so forth. And then, the key point that you were just talking about consistent interactions over time being very helpful at creating a culture of civility is part of what's wrong with a lot of social media. A lot of the people who are screaming at each other on Twitter are kind of not building a relationship and sort of having a longer dialogue. It's just drive by flaming by trolls, and they're probably thinking, this is my one shot at whacking this person, so I'll just do it, as opposed to saying, oh, if I want to change someone's mind, I do need to engage them and listen to them and so forth, which we all understand in our day-to-day lives, but sometimes we forget it online.
Let's talk about AI in general and what it means for the Wikipedia project. And I
Mm.
confess I used some AI to develop this line of questioning because I find it often an incredibly efficient way to just research what's already out there and what's been written.
No, I mean we have emerging thoughts, I would say. We don't have much in the way of formal policy, and part of the reason is, I mean, I would say the one piece that probably could be considered formal policy is uh, like using an AI to help you with your work. If you get something wrong, you're just as responsible as you were before. In other words, it's not an excuse to say, "Oh, I used AI, not my fault." Like a human who puts something into Wikipedia is responsible for it in our community standards, and you remain responsible. But the idea of like completely banning the use, so first of all, it's quite hard to detect in many cases because like it's words and words could be written in lots of
Yeah.
ways and so forth. Furthermore, there are a lot of people, say in English Wikipedia, who are they're writing in their second language, and we want to
Uh-huh.
be open and accessible to everyone, and we want to have wide participation.
So
If
having the
you
AI helps them write
It helps
in their
them. So
second language.
people are asking
Right.
the AI to check their grammar and getting suggestions and things like that. And those suggestions that it may suggest word patterns that are common for AI, and then an automated detector may say, "No, AI wrote this," and the person may know, "I wrote it, but I did ask the AI to help me." That's fine. Like we don't mind if
Yeah.
people are
I suppose
doing
it
some of
just
those.
gets to that original idea you had of taking responsibility for the content you put out, right?
Yeah,
That
definitely.
your byline is at the top of something. If you used AI, it's still on you. Put
Yeah, yeah,
as President
exactly.
Reagan would say, trust but verify.
Yeah, and the but
Yeah.
verify is very important. So we had a fun story, a fun example. A German volunteer came to me and just to tell me the story. He had been looking through German Wikipedia. He had written a script to go through and check ISBN numbers. So every book that's published in the world has an ISBN number, and
Uh-huh.
he was just checking to make sure that they were accurate. And he found several of them that seemed to be completely made up out of thin air, and they all came from the same person. So he went and asked the person, like, what's going on? And the person, apparently it was a good faith error. The person said, "Oh, I'm new to Wikipedia and I didn't know what I could do to start, but I thought, oh, I'll just add some book references at the bottom, some see alsos." And I just used ChatGPT and I didn't know it could make up reference. And when it gave me the ISBN, it looked real.
Right.
And it's like, that's okay. Well, don't do that anymore. But that was a
Right.
good faith error. And it is the kind of thing we have to look out for. Like if people aren't really aware of how bad AI can be, they may use it, and that will be unfortunate.
What do you think about LLMs using Wikipedia to train themselves? And
Yeah,
is
well, I
that
mean,
that surely is happening now?
yeah. We're a big
Yeah.
part of the training data for all major LLMs. I mean, part of me says, look, I mean, I think this is an important technology. It's really transformative in lots of ways, and I'm really happy that it's reading Wikipedia and not just Twitter. Like I
Right.
wouldn't want an AI trained only on Twitter. It'd be pretty angry I think. It's fine, and everything in Wikipedia is freely licensed for people to do as they please with it. That's a big part of where we come from. It's our culture. We come from open source software movement and so forth. So that's fine. We do see that on a more practical level, the AI bots crawling Wikipedia are imposing quite a lot of costs on us.
Uh-huh.
So we're trying to say, like, you should use our enterprise product and pay us for your usage, because it's not really fair to our donors if people are donating to support Wikipedia, but then we're spending our money to support OpenAI and Google and so forth. Google, by the
Is
way, is a
the
customer. Google's a customer of our enterprise product. I am not sure, as far as I'm aware, until recently, OpenAI is not yet a customer. So hopefully they will become one soon.
if they become, and you say using the enterprise product, then they would pay to
Yeah,
to
to
yeah.
get a feed, and it's
Right.
less stress on our servers, and like we have it. It's a more efficient than crawling the website.
Why don't you, instead of asking nicely, why don't you just put up put your foot down and say, hey, big LLMs and maybe some other organization. Is there any thought to doing that? Or are you,
I
is that a possibility?
It's a possibility. I don't. I'm not a part of the team that's working on enterprise and these questions on a day-to-day basis. I've heard some rumblings, but it's not. Yeah, we'll see.